to change, you filthy animal.
Yippee-ki-yay!
You Virginia don't fade, dear.
Shaken, not stirred.
You talking to me?
You're a wizard, Harry.
I volunteer as tribute.
Sometimes I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion.
Deirdre Chambers. What a coincidence.
That's so fat.
How woo.
Wakanda forever!
Welcome back, my darlings, to Not My Genre, the Fire Teller Film Review. I'm Nate.
And I'm Will.
And today we are doing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a Marvel film.
Yes, Marvel film Shang-Chi, the master of unarmed weaponry.
Hang on a second. Are you going to be reading this today? Or
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
Or is
I
this
always read it.
Or is this rehearsed?
No, this is reading it.
Okay. All right. Hit us with it.
Shang-Chi, the master of unarmed weaponry-based kung fu, is forced to confront his past after being drawn into the Ten Rings organization.
Organization.
It's a very vague synopsis.
It
but anyway,
is.
we're going to
Doesn't
talk
really
way more
say
about
much.
it.
Hey,
get
look,
into it.
what was your first impression score?
I'm giving this a 7. First
7
impressions, which
Yeah.
is very respectable.
Well-
So we have 3 scores in the podcast.
We have 3 scores, and we always give our first one. Now, the first one's just what did we think without even thinking about it?
Yep.
What did we feel about the movie?
Yeah. What was yours?
Well, I'm also a 7.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Also a 7. We've said that 7 is not the best score to give.
No, it's
isn't it?
kind of a bit beige, isn't it?
It's the beigest number.
Although it is 3.5. It's not like you're giving it
Yeah.
2.5 out of 5 or something.
Yeah.
It's you obviously liked it.
Yeah,
so
I did.
yeah,
Now,
no,
listen,
actually. Oh, can we just say
This is-
Nate hates Marvel films.
this is absolutely not my genre.
Yeah.
At all. Not my genre.
Okay, not
Hate it.
your genre.
But I went into them, and we went and saw it in the cinemas.
Yeah.
You, me, and Puppycito. That's his partner. They actually call each other Puppycito.
Shut up!
No, I'm telling everyone. I'm telling them all. It means hot man, doesn't it?
Yeah,
hot daddy.
you know that.
It means hot,
It means hot daddy.
hot daddy.
Facebook Translate has fucked that up a few times. Not great.
He's probably listening to this. Anyway, so all 3 of us went and saw this movie, and I was like, oh my God, please do not put me through this. Do not make me see this superhero movie.
yeah. And then you saw the poster,
And then I saw the poster.
and you saw Simu Lee. We're gonna mispronounce a lot of names
is
today.
a very attractive, very
Yeah.
handsome man.
He is very, very attractive.
And to be honest, that's the only reason why I
Funnily
went and
enough,
saw
he
it.
hasn't actually been in that much. This is he actually tweeted out to Marvel, said, "Hey, making this film, I think you should cast me."
Wow.
And
he got
so
it.
they basically cast him from a tweet. No, he
Right.
he did get it. Well, obviously he auditioned.
Right.
But
Got it.
he was in a film, a TV show, Canadian TV show called Kim's Convenience.
Oh,
which was about a
I
convenience
know
store.
that show. I didn't know he was in
I
it.
heard about it. So that's his really.
Wow.
That's really his only kind of main credit.
Okay. He was just amazing. I mean, he was very
He was
very good
excellent,
looking.
yes.
But I
My
tell
God,
you
what a fighter.
Oh my God.
The scene in the bus. You have to see it just for that scene in the bus.
scene. But there's so many amazing scenes.
Yeah.
I personally do not like kung fu crap.
Oh, really? I love
I-
it.
I
You know, one of my
don't.
favorite films is Crouching Tiger.
Tiger,
so
of course.
I love it.
But
love
I
it.
really appreciated this. Like this, the athleticism, the
Yeah.
skill.
Yep.
That this, what's his name? Simu, someone.
Simu Lee.
All right. Okay. Excuse me.
I just said
he is incredible. You must go and see
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just
Yeah.
for that.
It's really spot on. You can tell that he just completely nailed it.
Totally.
And this was shot in Sydney.
It was.
It sort of looked like San Francisco for a while, don't you think?
Yeah.
I think it was
think-
San Francisco. They must have shot that in San Francisco.
Well, wasn't there the shot of the famous San Francisco, you know that
Yeah, yeah,
the
the windy
windy road?
road.
I don't know what it's actually called. It's the
Yeah.
famous one. I
I don't
swear
think
that
they
was
didn't
in
go
it.
down that though.
What, was it?
in the bus scene? They didn't go down.
Oh,
that
they didn't
road.
go down it, but
No.
was it in the movie?
Could have been stock footage. Who knows? It's probably in a lot of films, all right?
Could have been a completely different movie. But
You watch a
anyway,
lot of movies, so.
I do. So tell us more.
Yeah. Okay, so this is directed by a guy called Destin Daniel Cretton, who we know from a film called Short Term 12, which was kind of like a really big indie hit back in 2013, I think it was.
Right.
And it was actually the sort of getting the start for Brie Larson. That was one of her first films, if not her first big film, and she was called a revelation from that film.
Hang on a second. I thought that he hadn't directed an English-speaking film.
No, he has.
Oh, he has?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Where'd you get that one from?
I don't know. I'm just
Okay.
reading it down in your trivia there on the thing that you wrote.
Okay, so that's not the director. That's the actor.
Got it.
We'll come to Tony Leung,
I just got that.
one of the most famous Chinese actors ever.
Right.
We can come to your complete lack of knowledge about him a bit later on.
Excuse me, I'm a massive fan of Crazy Rich Asians. It is actually one
That's
of my
one
top 10
film.
movies.
Okay.
Speaking of Crazy Rich, there's a lot of amazing cast members from Crazy Rich in this movie.
There is the three.
Yes.
Awkwafina, Michelle
Yao.
Yao, and Ronnie Ching.
Yeah, he's a comedian, right?
Yeah.
I tell you what, I loved both Awkwafina and Michelle Yao in this movie.
Yeah.
That was a really awkward silence there.
That was great. But let's move on. So there's the story. We always like to focus on the story in this podcast. So story by Dave Callahan and Destin Daniel Cretton, the director. And they also wrote the screenplay along with Andrew Lanham. Now, Andrew Lanham is known for Just Mercy, The Kid, and The Glass Castle, which are actually Just Mercy and The Glass Castle are films that the director also directed. So these two
kind
work
of like
together.
a working team.
Whereas Dave Callahan is known for Mortal Kombat, Wonder Woman 1984, and The Expendables. So he's more in that superhero
I haven't
world.
seen any of those movies, actually. I saw the first one.
Oh, right.
Woman.
Yeah.
But this is not DC. This is Marvel.
That's right.
I hate
Yep.
DC. I hate Marvel too. But I really like Marvel now. This is all about what I like.
I think
Tell
so.
us about
One
the
more
story.
thing. It's
What?
worth mentioning the comics based on characters by Steve Englehart and Jim Starlin, who worked for Marvel and actually wrote the original comic. Because
Okay.
of course, Marvel stuff is based on original properties.
Fantastic. Now let's talk about the story. I think that this film was written brilliantly.
It was
Just
really solid. It was
so
a
good.
good solid structure.
Yeah.
You know what? You saw like just a really good sort of, a character who was called to change his life. He refused that call. He was then thrown into this adventure, this world of having to explore his past and his father being this grandmaster of this cult. And he went through a great forest of greatness, having to take his place as Shang-Chi. I thought it was fantastic. I thought that, with our story map, we got a lot into our structure. I could really see the flow of our GOC1CN, our structure there.
Stand by for our story writing e-course coming out very soon. You'll learn all about that. But look, what I really loved about this, I mean, we say that a story is quite mythic. Occasionally. What we mean by that is that it tends to be really based on what we call the primordial four.
Right.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
It draws on archetypes. It draws on ancient patterns, and that doesn't mean mythics. Doesn't mean knights and quests and that sort of thing. It just means that it draws on those things that we all have heard hundreds of times again, throughout history and have become part of our story DNA. Yeah. So the primordial four. This is four key archetypes.
When you do write a story, mythically, like how you described it, you can really feel it. It resonates and it draws something from deep within you, and you can't even really explain it.
Exactly.
Like I walked away feeling wholesome.
I know, right? That. And this is the difference between some of the DC films and the Marvel films. The Marvel always have a lot of heart, and they try to really move you in that way. Yeah. But you really felt like this was a sort of, it's not coming of age, but like a renewal, this character was really coming into their own. And there was, it's like it's like in The Matrix when Neo stands up after having been killed with bullets.
Matrix is very mythic.
It's got that big sense of the
monomyth.
Genesis.
But
anyway. Primordial four. So four main archetypes of the father, the mother, the other half, and the child. So they're the four primordial four, and there's also dark versions of these archetypes too. Yeah. So these are reoccurring motifs that we see within a lot of different movies and stories. Yeah, I mean, and this film had this to a T, didn't it?
It did. I think it's important to say that there's many different archetypes out there that come from the ancient wells of our ancestry inside us, but there really are just these four ones that are kind of universal. That really resonate with us.
Oh, sorry. When we say mother and father, we're not talking about like the characters being a mother or father. No. So, for example, Gandalf, the wizard in Lord of the Rings, is a father, a light father.
He's the light father,
essentially a good father, mentor character. Same with like Merlin the wizard or the fairy godmother for the mother. Characters we see, reoccurring characters that take on the place of mother or child rearer, carer, or father, protector.
That's right.
Mentor.
That's right. And then there's
bestower of gifts.
The dark versions, as you said, of those that typically represent the neuroses of the character. Now, this film really focused on a point that we call the atonement of the father.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Taking into account those archetypes. Yeah. And in this case, the characters were father.
Well, they were.
And mother.
And son.
Well, Michelle Yeoh wasn't really his mother, but she played
She played
mother.
the light mother. Yeah, right.
So Atonement of the Father. Can you tell us a little bit about that plot point, what that actually means? Because it's a really culminative moment in any story, is where the protagonist has to, usually in a lot of mythic stories, have to face off against their father, against a evil force that might represent their father or something like that.
Yeah, well...
The big dragon, the big beast.
When you kind of think about... essentially, when you boil a story right down and you ask yourself, what is kind of the paradigm of a story? What is the basic model of a story? Well, a lot of people say that it's a reflection of our birth, life, and death pattern, our life cycle. Yeah. In that we are born into a situation with a mother and a father, and
a strong bond, and then the first intruder is the father.
Yeah, that's right. And so basically, the pattern of the model of a story is basically just a child growing up and leaving the nest, right?
Yeah.
So the first sort of thing that they need to do is they need to leave the mother's breast. And we often see that reflected at what we talk about all the time, which is the midpoint or the oracle. You'll see some type of sort of motherly type energy that they meet right in the middle of a story or close to the middle of the story, where they're given a new path and a new direction. And that's basically, the mother pointing the child out of the nest, saying, this is the direction that you need to go on now. It's going to be a much darker, more dangerous route to go on.
Or they might be given insight onto the same path, and so they can see it in a different way.
Yeah. Essentially, what she's doing, what the oracle is doing, what that light mother energy is doing, is she's pointing that child towards the father. Basically saying, if you want to go out into the real world, if you want to be an adult, you are going to have to atone with your father in some way. You're going to have to either overcome them or, come to...
Well, essentially, the father is seen as this first intruder that separates the baby from the mother, but the child has to realize that father is not a threat, has to kind of atone with that person and be like, oh, you're just like me.
Well, it depends on the story. I mean, we see some very dark father figures.
Yeah, I mean, killing that dark father figure that you talk about is atoning. It's like it's destroying your mental idea of that character.
That's right.
So you can see something new behind it.
That's right. And often the father, particularly a dark father, will represent sort of their old way of life, their old habits that they need to come to terms with. And by killing off the father or overcoming them in some way, you are essentially releasing yourself from those old patterns that sort of imprisoned you. Yeah. So essentially, when you are leaving the nest, you have atoned with your father, and now you're ready to be a man.
Yeah.
Right? Or a woman.
We see this. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you can think of countless films where we see the protagonist facing off against some sort of father-like figure.
Yeah.
A funny one that comes to mind actually is Jumanji, where he has to actually face up against Van Pelt, which the actor is the same actor as his father.
Right.
So they reuse the same actor.
Yeah.
As for this father figure, this dark father figure.
That's right. So I mean, even though most stories, have that basic pattern that we just spoke about, the coming of age, the leaving of the nest, some stories really do make it. I can't even speak today. So I have to say, I drank a lot of wine last night, and I'm very hungover. A lot of stories really focus, specifically on overcoming something with the father.
Yeah.
And Jumanji is a really good example.
It is.
Another good example is Ad Astra with
I actually haven't seen
Brad
that one,
Pitt.
But I know that it's it's father-based, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he literally has to go through space to rescue his father that's sort of at the other end of the friggin' universe or something.
Yeah, right.
From a broken spaceship. So the whole journey is literally about... and obviously they've got a past and they have to come to terms with things. And this film does it really well too. So literally the whole story is about him having to atone with his father.
Yeah, so his father has gone to that neurosis point, has kind of turned into this perverted version of power and control and wealth and, status. And, he runs this organization called the 10 Rings. And basically, Simu Lee's character, Shang-Chi, has to come into his own and defeat his father and essentially destroy this organization.
That's right.
So that so that the control can not be taken over the world again.
That's right. And they have a really fantastic. After that oracle point, they end up going into what's it called? What's the land called? Tao Lei or something?
Tao Lei, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Tao Lei or Tao Li or
something like that. It's like this.
We just saw it once at the cinemas, so
it's this magical sort of realm, and you can only get there by going through this maze in the forest, which was an awesome sequence, by the way.
Yeah, that was really cool, wasn't it?
And then they drove through a waterfall and into like this portal into this place with lots of magical animals and things.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was filled with Pokemon. Let's be honest. No, it wasn't.
Well, actually,
I've seen an article on this.
They said that it's not Pokemon.
Yeah, no.
It just looks like.
Obviously, the creators of Pokemon have based a lot of the creatures off Chinese mythology.
That's right.
There's probably some crossover there. So what we thought were Pokemon are actually, legitimate ancient Chinese animals.
Well, I hope so. But inside this land, there's kind of like this door has sealed itself shut, or they've sealed the door shut in this cliff, and inside this door there are these horrible monsters. What were they called? I forget what they were called.
I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, the dark ones or something like that behind this door, who feed on souls.
So that was really freaky. Seeing that actually. But anyway, the father is going to set these creatures free because he thinks that his dead wife is being kept behind there. It turns out it's not the case.
So fantastic to be able to understand the antagonist in this way, the villain, in this way where you can actually see that he's got some sort of misguided reason for wanting to spread all this evil over the world.
Yeah, I mean, he actually heard the voice of his dead wife and thought, oh my gosh, she is there. So you understood why he was doing it.
Yeah. So it rounded it out, didn't it? It gave it some more depth.
That's right. So, but anyway, the protagonist in this Shang-Chi has to go and stop his father from releasing all of these bad dragon thingies. So it's basically what he has to do.
Cool. That was like a really deep thought there.
Get the corner! Just shut up!
So he has to do this thing, and that's because he has to do the thing.
Listen, I'm hurting today, and you are being very rude to me today.
Oh my God, it's like perfect for me. I can take advantage of you, and not in that way.
Anyway,
so I think look. There's not too much more to say on this. I think really loved how it was mythic in that way, and how it fit to that structure. And I don't know, dude. So, is there anything else you want to say on the story?
You heard it today too. No, I just, I mean, you really got to see how sort of the mechanics of this story worked. It was very clear the bits and bobs. He literally, overcame his father, and then after that he received the 10 rings from his father, and from that moment he's basically the father saying, okay, go out into the world now, go and be a man. And then he was able to then take on the big giant boss creature, right? So he then had the strength. His father passed the strength to him, so that he could go and save the day at the end and have his ultimate sacrifice.
That's right.
So it's really very clear that you can see sort of this pattern being reflected of birth, life, and death, and coming of age, and
having now atoned with the father, the power you have to become whole, essentially, to become what we call Tao. Which is funny because this place was called Tao Lei.
Oh yeah.
To become,
just realized.
Yeah, to become Tao and to become your whole self, and then use that power to share it with the rest of the world and to save the rest of the whole community and to save the world.
Yeah, I will say one thing I noticed, and it did work in this story, but you don't usually see it done like this, is that he had we call it a heroic choice. Now, do you remember that scene?
All right.
We think he's dead, as we know. All good heroes need to die. So he's down underneath
underneath the water, so there's water between the village. Look, most people would have seen the film with this.
I'll just move my mouth and you just speak, okay? And we'll just pretend I said it. No, yeah. Anyway, so he has this huge moment. We think he's dead, but then the dragon sets him free, and there's this huge like Avatar moment where he comes up out of the water and he's riding the dragon, which is just classic heroic choice. But it just was not in the right spot. Typically you would see that after the atonement of the father. Right, so he would have taken the rings, and then you would have had a big, uplifting, heroic choice moment. So it was really interesting that they put it before.
Right. Okay.
But it still worked.
Yeah.
It still worked. It's just that you don't usually easily see it there. You know, the whole point of a leap of faith or a heroic choice is that you have renewed life, renewed energy. You have been set free from your old habits, and that's when you hear the music and blah. But if you put it before the atonement of the Father, then you still haven't killed off your old self yet.
Sure. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah, in that sense, it kind of didn't work.
Okay. Yeah, well, this is the thing, because once a character has atoned with their father, they are fully whole. They have nothing more to learn, nothing more to change. So they,
100%.
even in a symbolic way, they can't be seen as needing something.
That's
needing
right.
to gain anything. They are there already.
That's right. It's
well, at least you didn't pull the set down like me.
It's called the apotheosis. So,
yeah,
I had a point, but then I just completely forgot.
Well, no, that's apotheosis. Okay.
We're struggling today.
This is, we're hitting a lot of roadblocks here. It's okay. It's okay. I think there was something else that I wanted to say. And I've forgotten now.
What would you like to say today?
I want to just say this is this was the first Marvel film that was filmed during COVID.
Oh, right.
They had no COVID outbreaks during production.
Really?
So no one got it or anything like that. And it was filmed in Sydney in Australia, because when Disney acquired Marvel, they also acquired Fox. So
right.
When Disney acquired Fox last year, they also acquired Fox Studios in Sydney.
Oh, right.
So,
of course. Well, that would make sense.
Yeah, it was. Well, there's not two Foxes.
So, hey, look, what's your story score?
Yes, story score. I like this one. I'm giving it an 8, I think. Yeah, I'm giving it an 8.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to give it I think I'm going to give it an 8.
Stop copying me.
Stop it.
Jesus.
I just
stop trying to make fetch happen.
Be you. Okay. Hey, look, so that brings us to our final NMG score. The NMG.
Yeah.
I've made it happen.
Oh my God, you're going to give a Marvel film a high score, aren't you?
I am.
What are you giving?
So an NMG is basically our rationalized score. So, you know, we've analyzed it, we've thought about it, and now, what do we think?
Put it together. I'm giving this an 8. Yep. I'm giving this an 8. I actually really loved it.
I really liked it too.
Yeah, it was fun.
I thought it was probably 20 minutes too long.
Oh, we have to mention that.
It's ridiculously long.
I think you said 30 yesterday.
Oh, 30, whatever.
I think it's 30 minutes too long.
I think that all films should be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's it. Tops. I'm done. Thanks very much.
That's the format.
Get out.
Do your thing in that. You don't need any more.
We don't
except
need.
Except Lord of the Rings. Maybe you can have a few more minutes.
Just stop. Just calm down. Okay? Step away. Step away.
You know, I never understood this, because wouldn't you think the distributors like Paramount Pictures or whoever, or Disney or anyone that is showing it, would want to have more screenings in a day?
Yeah.
And would therefore make more money because more people could see the film. So if you kept it to 90 minutes, you could fit more screenings.
Just cut it down. I think this one was about 2 hours 15 or something around that.
2:12.
2:12. Yeah. So it just needs to be a bit shorter.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I do actually want to say one other thing really fast. And this really stood out for me, and I can still feel it now when I think about it. Is that I think is the relationship with the sister. Now, what's the character's name? I can't remember what her character's name was.
Yeah.
The sister. Jia Ling.
Yeah, that's right.
Jia Ling. I think I'm saying it right. I don't know.
Xi
Right. Now, because this was obviously a primordial, family drama, basically. It was basically a soap opera. I think they needed to really kind of focus on their relationship more.
Right. Okay.
Now, one thing that they did
a little bit. They had a whole sequence dedicated to it.
They did, but I think what was confusing about it was that they had Awkwafina. Right.
Oh, as well.
And now I love Awkwafina, and I'm so glad she was in this movie. But let's be writers. I don't think her character added anything to this movie.
Yeah, you mentioned this. I agree. I agree with you. It was more just comic relief, sidekick.
That's right. That's right.
But on a thematic and symbolic level, there wasn't much going on.
Yeah, I mean, she could have she could have been a sidekick Toto character, But they started the film together, and they kind of set it up like she was going to be the impact character throughout.
Right.
Like that they were going to learn and grow together, which is essentially what an impact character is. But then they introduced the sister, after they crossed the threshold. So they did focus on they did focus on the sister, but I just think that they really needed to write it out a little bit more.
Yeah, you're right. So why, she was really just an extension of him, because why else have a character in there? Awkwafina. Yeah. Unless you're going to give them a journey or give them something to do. And she didn't really, she was emotionally in the same place as him, so she didn't really influence him in a positive way.
Yeah.
She really just went along the same journey.
I just think that they needed to show more of a change and transformation between the brother and the sister. sister.
Yeah.
I know they had that wonderful moment at the end where, you know, he refused to let her go and things like that. But I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't the center of the story, and I think that it needed to be.
And then they kind of ruined it with that scene at the end where she became like the new king head honcho of the Ten Rings organization.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, she's over there shutting down the Ten Rings organization, and then it cuts over and she's actually setting it up for a sequel.
Look, anything that appears post credits does not count. It is
that
not part of the
post-credits,
story.
or was that just before the credits?
Oh, maybe.
I think it was just before. But you're right.
Okay.
There was two scenes. There was one with Wong where he came and he got them from the diner. No, that was part of them. Who cares?
It's
anyway, there was two scenes.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
Okay,
that's it. Great. What's your NMG score? Did we say that?
No, I'm giving this an 8.
I'm giving this an 8 too.
Well, there you go.
Fantastic. I can hear the music.
Fantastic. See you next time, everyone.
Bye.